Israel is scrambling to buy off as many young right-wing influencers as possible and fly them to Israel to give them the propaganda tour treatment and have them kiss the wall and all the rest of it. They have a goal to bring 550 influencer delegations to Israel by the end of the year because they really don't understand how this works anymore. American dignity is not for sale. And any young influencer that takes this paycheck, they only sell themselves and their future out. No one is interested in hearing someone shill paid talking points anymore, and we all see through it. So if you are a young influencer, even if you support Israel, don't do this because we will all see through you, and you will tarnish your entire future on the internet if you take this money.
Conspiracy theories are dangerous.
Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
It's so sick that we can't talk about it.
Because now we have the raw data, right? We can see what's happening. Another poll, this one by the Israel Democracy Institute, found that 67% of all Israelis are not troubled by people in Gaza starving to death. And you can see on the chart how Jewish identity is deeply tied into that perspective, as Jews, for obvious reasons, answered way higher than their Arab counterparts. It's completely inverse. The Arabs are obviously very concerned about the people starving to death in Gaza. And 55.6% of the Jewish people said that they are not at all troubled by it. God's chosen people seem incredibly unbothered by everyone else, particularly non-Jews, starving to death. This week, we also had Bibi Netanyahu come out and just outright on Fox News say that Israel will be reoccupying Gaza and taking the land for themselves. I mean, turning it over to civilian governance. Right. Not even going to get into it. There's so many other things that he lied about in that interview that is just, I'm over it. I'm over interfacing with Israeli doublespeak that are just lies. Like lie after lie after lie after lie. It is exhausting. Also this week, Trump moved to ban DEI on university campuses, except in regard to Jews. You know, like facts don't care about your feelings unless your feelings are Jewish. And Glenn Greenwald, a prominent Jew in the media, called this out. It is so bizarre that many on the right claim that the Trump admin is destroying DEI at universities. They are doing so for every group except the favored one, to serve U.S.'s one sole oppressed minority group, American Jews. Look at what they're forcing Brown to do. For them only. Brown, item A right here. Brown is committed to taking significant, proactive, effective steps to combat anti-Semitism and ensure a campus environment free from harassment and discrimination. These shall include actions to support a thriving Jewish community, research and education about Israel, and a robust program in Judaic studies through outreach to Jewish day school students to provide information about applying to Brown, resources for religiously observant Jewish community members, renewed partnerships with Israeli academics and national Jewish organizations, support for enhanced security at the Brown RISD Hillel, and a convening of alumni, students, and faculty to celebrate 130 years of Jewish life at Brown in the 2025-2026 academic year. Conduct a survey in 2025 to evaluate the campus climate for Brown students, including the climate for students with shared Jewish ancestry, and evaluate social media harassment. The United States and Brown shall jointly choose this external party. So they're going to do a big survey and ask students at the bottom here whether they feel welcome at Brown, whether they feel safe reporting anti-Semitism at Brown, whether they believe Brown has responded appropriately to reports of alleged anti-Semitic conduct. We're going to do all these surveys and studies to make sure that Jewish students at Brown are feeling safe and good and just, you know, which is like, yeah, it would be like, yeah, let's not threaten people. Like, let's all feel safe. Agreed. But in the same document, Brown shall not maintain programs that promote unlawful efforts to achieve race-based outcomes, quotas, diversity targets, or similar efforts. Brown will cease any provisions of benefits or advantages to individuals on the basis of protected characteristics in any school, component, division, department, foundation, association, or element within the entire Brown University system, unless you're Jewish, right? So we're all done with DEI. DEI, no more. No more discrimination and special treatment for protected groups. Now we will be basing everything on merit. except if you're Jewish, will double down on special treatment for Jewish students because we are to believe that somehow Jewish people are the victims of some global evil force. Somehow Jews are disadvantaged and need protection, despite our own eyes quite clearly showing us that Jews are currently the most privileged and protected group on the planet, certainly in America, right? This group that is wildly overrepresented in banking and media and tech, and like, cool, sure, more power to you. Just don't say that you're, a victim. Last week, we talked about how a national coalition of billionaires and politicians mobilized to destroy the life of a girl in Florida that got in an argument with a Jew on campus. This group, who is getting speech laws passed in America to ban everyone from saying anything mean about them, or even anything that's just true but could be construed as inconvenient or critical of them or the state of Israel, right? And last week, Congress called recess and ran off as fast as possible to avoid voting on Massey's bill to unseal the Epstein documents. No time to vote on that. Congress needs to go on vacation and spend time in their districts with their constituents. And so they all flew to Israel to presumably film a gangbang with Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, seriously, this isn't normal. Find me an example of this ever happening before in American history. Since when did our whole government go on field trips together to any of our allies like this? Like even to Canada or Great Britain, right? Like leaving out the bribes and the propaganda and the blackmail that we all know is involved in this visit and this allegiance. This is treason. And everyone in this photo should stand trial. Israel is not our ally, and America didn't vote for you to look out for another nation's interests before our own. This is the elephant in the room. This is the state of American politics today. The JQ is going mainstream because of shit like this. The conversation is here. You can have it or you can hide from it. But while you hide from it, Americans are having it without you. Nick Fuentes is leading the conversation with or without the rest of the American media. The Charlie Kirks and Tucker Carlsons can continue the current strategy of ostracizing Nick Fuentes and pushing him out of the conversation, out of the space, out of the accepted, right? But more and more, the American public is listening to Nick. And with no one willing to take on his points in an open debate, more and more people are seeing Nick as the underdog and as the true voice of America, as the real America first. As for me, I'll continue listening to everyone and thinking for myself. I don't agree with everything Nick says, just like I don't agree with everything that Candace or Tucker says, right? But I continue to admire and respect everyone involved immensely, right? I hope Tucker takes Nick up on his offer to sit down for a conversation. I think that would be one of the most impactful interviews of 2025. I doubt it'll happen, not just for bad reasons. There's lots of reasons. I doubt it'll happen. But I know that America wants to see it. Because ultimately, we're over the gatekeeping. We're over the coddling of the American mind. We all have to think for ourselves every day already. We were raised doing that. Gen Z grew up on the internet. The guardrails are long gone, and it is an outdated reflex to try to hold on to them. We're ready for the real conversation about Israel. And I'm proud of the part that I've played in opening up that conversation to the mainstream, like talking about Epstein and Pizzagate on Rogan and ratioing Elon Musk over Israel, reporting for 2 years now about Israel and all of their dirty tricks. I am super proud to be a part of the conversation. But let's not kid ourselves. Nick has been the one leading the conversation for almost a decade now. Nick really is the conversation. And to try to pretend otherwise feels at best out of touch and far more often like an agenda. An agenda that is slipping away more and more every day. And so I know that Candace and Tucker both have a little bit of personal baggage on the line. They both feel like they've been wronged or attacked or insulted by Nick Fuentes. And I know that Nick Fuentes feels similarly towards each of them. But I would hope that everyone involved can hopefully put some of that personal stuff aside and engage as openly and decently and genuinely as possible, because this is not a conversation about personal baggage. It is not a conversation about he shed, she shed. You know what I mean? This is a conversation about America and about the future of America And it's a conversation that will either make or break our nation. And if we get through this conversation righteously and honestly and to the truth, that might truly save America from the disastrous course that we're on. And if this conversation is obfuscated or avoided or deflected or taken over by the factions that have controlled it for so long, I'm not sure there's any coming back from the next steps down into technocracy and centralized control. So it really matters. And I really hope that everyone out there that's involved in the conversation, whether you're Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, Nick Fuente, whether you're these people in the media, in the alt media, the main media, whatever, or if you're just an anon on Twitter, if you're just a random regular person, I hope that we can all put our best foot forwards and engage in this conversation earnestly and openly without bringing our baggage and our hurt and our, personal stuff. Because it really does feel like this is the conversation and this is the time and this is the place and it's happening. And yeah. I hope it goes well. Because if it doesn't, we're fucked.
Conspiracy theories are dangerous.
Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
With Republicans, with progressives, with libertarians, because this is not about right and left, this is about right and wrong.
It's so sacred we can't talk about it.
Our security is at stake.